Hello, everybody. Jim Malone here, coming to you live from Dallas Trading Floor. It's Friday, and it looks like the market has started to move back up, which is great. I'm really liking that, as opposed to all these 3 down days that we had in a row. So it looks like we're starting to firm up. And interestingly enough, there was a poll in the Investor Business Daily today, and it's about the optimism. There seems to be growing optimism because of the fact that we may have a vaccine for the coronavirus before the end of the year. I hope that's the case. But anyways, that is sort of how it's moving. So just wanted to kind of go through the indicators, and then we'll get to everybody's questions here. But we're looking good. Finally, we are in a confirmed uptrend, which is really nice. The NASDAQ is 11,760, and we're up on the S&P, and we're also up on the Dow Jones. The volume is up. That's very bullish. You want to see an up day with increased volume. That means that there's some conviction. The NASDAQ's a little bit down, but I'll take an up day. I will take an up day now. It's about time. Let's take a look at the S&P 500. This is the spider, and by the way, this is the world's largest ETF. Many people have their entire retirement saving in this very, very important ETF, and it tracks the S&P 500. So it's also similar. There's some other ones like this. The VOO is very similar to this. That's the Vanguard version of this. This is the State Street Bank version, but it is the biggest in the world. And it looks like after 3 down days, we are pulling up a little bit. So that is very, very nice. Liking that a lot, liking seeing that kind of action. As well as at least when this was taken, the QQQ. Now, this isn't the entire NASDAQ. This is just the top 100 of it, and it's pulling up today good. So this is also good. Not a lot of rise in the price, but at 291, I think that we're staying above that key level of 275, which seems to be very, very good. So very easy. Just want to show you my current holdings. I did move into Viva Systems today. That's it was right in the buy zone, so I did buy a little bit for the small portfolio, and you'll see that in just a second. But Taiwan Semi is down. Tesla's down a little bit, but it seems to be fairly firm. Sorrento Therapeutics, this has not been the great. It's been okay. Cloudflare is down, but it seems to be holding its own. Digital Turbine, that's apps. Qualcomm, Marvell Technology Group, and now Viva Systems. So those are my current holdings as of now. So without much further ado, let's see if I can go. Yep, there we go. All right. So let's see if I have any. If I have anybody. Oh, let's take a look. This is sort of a new idea here to see if this will work, and I'm gonna basically hopefully be able to take more questions now off of the yeah, there we go. Okay. So yeah, here we go. We'll pull it up. So let's see. Go to TikTok first today. This is kind of a strange, but hopefully I'll be able to see something here. So let's kind of look to see what we've got in the way of questions from TikTok. And by the way, I am simulcasting this on. I'm also simulcasting this on YouTube at youtube.com/Dallas Trading Floor. So let's see if we can get a question. Okay, what's Tesla doing the next week? Well, good question. Let's see if we can get a chart on Tesla to see that. TSLA is the symbol. And of course, everybody knows I am in Tesla. So let's take a look at the daily chart. Let's look at kind of the action on Tesla. It looks like it's kind of crawling up this 10-day moving average. It's pulled back a little bit. It's pulled back a little bit today, but it seems like it's kind of following that line up. Now we're short of the buy point, which is 502.49, and that's basically on a consolidation base. It's a first stage base. So this is a key level for for Tesla coming in. So how will it come into earnings? Well, earnings is going to be only in 5 days. So I think the market is saying take a wait see attitude on this. But I do think that we're probably going to be at about pretty much where we are now at about 450. We're at 442. So I don't think this is going to move up, exponentially, but I also don't think it's going to drop that much either, because it seems like it's holding. The 21-day. Now the question is, how is this going to look when it comes to the deliveries on Tesla? And that's a big issue. How it's going to look there. So just don't know. But I'm probably going to be holding through the. I'm going to be probably holding myself through the earnings. Now, normally that's not a very good strategy. I'll tell you that, folks. It's generally not to. But I am moving more out of a trading stance with Tesla and more into kind of a long-term investment. And so that's kind of the reason. That's at least my rationale for doing that. So let's take a look at the next question. This is from YouTube. And taking a look at Chewy. This is, of course, the online pet supply company. Now, interestingly enough, I am old enough to remember, and actually I was in Silicon Valley when this happened. There was once a company called Pets.com. I don't know if you remember it, but they had a very big IPO, and they had a stock, and they didn't make any money, but they bought a very expensive Super Bowl commercial, and then after that they went under very soon after that. So, this has been tried before, and maybe the second time is the charm. Who knows? Definitely up $2.72. It's below the buy point of $74.84. So let's see if it's even buyable. Wow, that's not bad. 8 out of 9 on the buying criteria. Let's look at the ownership. The ownership is good with funds, so it seems to be well supported. It does have pretty good, very good industry ranking. So you know what? This isn't all that bad. It's got a 94 relative strength, and it does have a cup formation. So all in all, you know what? That's actually pretty good stock, I have to say. So definitely looks good on Chewy. So, and is it buyable at this point? Well, it's below the buy point. I would watch this one and see if it can move up to the 74.84 level. Now, can you buy it before that? Absolutely, you can. But the 74.84 level is the buy point on it. That is on the cup base, and that would be the ideal place to buy it. It looks like it has just gone through earnings, and it does look like the volume is up on this. So, you might want to get into this one early. So I like this, actually, kind of like this on that. So let's look at Sterling, STRL, and see if we can give you some information on that. STRL is the symbol on that. And there we go, Sterling Construction. So let's see if there is anything that I can add to Sterling Construction. Well, it looks like we are above the buy zone. There was a buy point here on a cup base. It looks like it's a second stage consolidation at 1544. So it is just slightly out of the buy zone. There's an 88 relative strength. This is looking good. Heavy construction, building for transportation and infrastructure. So that's actually looking pretty good. I typically like to see an 80 or better on the relative strength. This is an 88, so that's very good. Let's look at the buying criteria to see if we've got good buying. It's got 100% buying criteria. So I would say this is looking pretty good. Out of these two, out of Chewy and Sterling, you know what? I would have to probably take Sterling. Now, I don't know if you're going to buy it at the market price right now, $16.46. You're buying it a tad extended, just a little bit, but it seems fairly safe to do that. It's 88 on the industry list out of 197, so I like that. It's in the top half of that. We do have good fund sponsorship. So yeah, out of these two, out of Chewy and Sterling, I think that this is the one that you want, Sterling Construction. And thank you very much for that question. That's an excellent question. All right, so let's see if take the next question here. And by the way, for everybody watching on TikTok, I'm going to try to show on YouTube, the comments, but I'm taking as many questions as I can from TikTok as well. But if you do want to see the charts and everything, all you have to do is go over to www.youtube.com/Dallas Trading Floor. When do you think Tesla will start climbing up to there's? I probably will start climbing into the earnings, but here's the thing: if you're not in Tesla right now, it depends on where you're in Tesla. I think that the time, I started acquiring Tesla at about 424. And it's moving up from there, but you want to be careful on this because I do think that it can get a little bit ahead of itself. If you're buying it now, you might want to hold it into earnings, but then sell it. So that's kind of probably the best way to go on that. That's how I would do it. So let's kind of see. Take a look and see if there's anything that we can divine on Tesla to see if we have a better idea of kind of where we're coming from there. So let me put that in. Ooh, okay, come on. It's not letting me do that. Okay, well, okay, unable to load the file, so we'll get rid of that. All right. Well, okay. I'm sorry about that. Let me see if I can take another call from off of TikTok. So let's pull that over there onto TikTok. All right. So what's Tesla doing next week? Well, I think coming into earnings, it's going to be strong. Let's see if we've got another question here. This is off of TikTok, by the way, and I'm showing this live. Workhorse. Are they getting the contract? I can't tell you on that. Let's look at comment on data, DADA. See if I can give you some insight on data. So let's take a look at data, DADA, and come up right there, DADA. See if I can give you data. Nexus Limited, ADS, China-based company, provides delivery on retail platforms. Wow. It's definitely in a buy zone. The buy zone on this is 34.94. Now, Chinese companies are tough because they do have different standards on accounting principles, so they typically are a little bit different. And when it comes to that, they don't have to, unfortunately, to subscribe to generally accepted accounting principles. They have a special set of accounting principles, of course. This was enacted under the Obama administration, which I'm a little bit against. 7 out of 9 on the checklist. That's good. Let's look at the ownership on the funds. Well, we have some funds in there. We got 52. What would I do with this one? Well, you know what? I'm not totally convinced on this, even though it seems like a lot of people are in there. It's got a relative strength of 95. This kind of, I want to see some more. I just want to see some more strength. So with this one, I probably would be a watch list. I don't think I'm going to be. I don't think I would be as strong in this one, but it just doesn't look to me like it might have some issues. Is what I'm trying to say. All right, so when to sell apps and when to sell net. I have purchased this, put the stops up. Very, very good, very good. By the way, this is something that I should eat my own dog food, because when a stock moves up as fast as some of these do, and Fastly was definitely that case, I didn't push my stop losses up. But this is something, if you ever get a stock like this that explodes upwards, you want to push that stop loss up so that if it does move back and test, you're sold out. So that's probably the best way to handle it. I definitely, I knew that, but again, it's like everything else. You just gotta keep on top of it, and I didn't at that time. So here we go. Here's apps. This is Digital Turbine. It's still got a 99 on the relative strength, which is very strong. Now, we are coming very close to earnings. We've got 15 days to earnings, so basically 2 more weeks. I probably will be in this till earnings. If it's looking strong, I probably will sell it. So why would you do that? Well, the reason is it's a typical, buy on rumor, sell on news. So I probably will be in this another 2 weeks. But what can you get in there now? When is the time to sell? Well, let's look at the checklist. Checklist 8 out of 9, very good. Ownership on the funds are looking strong. We've got increasing on there. But you know what? This is a little bit speculative, and I think that probably the best thing to do is to be in this for about 2 more weeks, and then on the day of earnings, which I think it will be at its peak, at least for the short term, I think that's probably when we want to go and move out of the stock to see how it trades through earnings, and then possibly buying it again. Because I do think it's good, but it is much more speculative. And when you're in a speculative stock like that, you want to be careful so that you preserve any of the upward momentum that you have on that. So let's look at Cloudflare. That's NET. That's moved up tremendously, and it's pulling back a little bit. It's starting to create a flag. That's this motion here when it kind of comes up and then it's up and down, up and down, up and down, and it's pretty far above its buy point. So on this one, you want to be careful. It's time possibly to set your stop losses up. I would probably try to be in a stop loss at about 55 on that. I would try to move my stop loss up on this because this absolutely can fail back down to the pivot. That's why these buy points and pivots are so important, is because typically what will happen is that no stock will go up straight. It'll move up, and then it will pull back, and usually where it will settle is right about at this pivot. Okay, so that's the reason why we want to put that stop loss up in case it does pull back to that pivot. If it does, then we're gonna be in the green there. So that's definitely how you want to look at it when you're trading that kind of thing. So let's see if we have a question from TikTok. Okay, so let's see. We have. Let me see if I can get a good answer for you on that. Okay, so Snowflake thoughts. Okay, well, let's take a look at Snowflake. Of course, everybody knows Snowflake is one of the biggest IPOs that we had in the last few months. So it's been very interesting. It didn't pull back all that much though, considering the symbol, of course, is SNOW, and as you can see, here you go. Here's the chart. It went, it moved way up over 300. This is the buy point that it established. Then it pulled back down. It's got a relative strength of 28, which, it is an IPO. It's not time to buy it yet, but it's time to watch list this. I think we need to, it's sort of like a fine wine, it's kind of like cheese, you gotta, as a matter of fact, I was talking with my colleague about that, about the great cheeses that you have in Cheshire and stuff like that, and Stilton and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I have that on my mind. But you need to age this a little bit. It needs to be aged for about 3 months, I think, before you really want to be it. But it is a great stock. The checklist, it's a little bit light on the checklist, 4 out of 9. I wouldn't buy this. I would want to make sure that it was at least 6 out of 9 before I would be in it, just because that's how I do it. The ownership on it, it's starting to get some fund ownership, which is already 32 funds are in this, which is kind of amazing considering it just basically came out. The industry is super excellent, 15 out of 197. So very, very good on that. What would I do with Snowflake? Well, I wouldn't buy it, but I definitely think I'm going to be putting that on the watch list. It's not time for it yet. 2 more months, and I think that it's going to be better potentially than it is currently now. One of my favorite stocks, space, Virgin Galactic. This is, of course, the Richard Branson space travel company. And the thing about tourism and travel, mostly it's bad. But guess what? That's the one place you can probably go, the International Space Station, that they will totally check you out and then some. And so maybe they have deposits on these space trips. So maybe it's time for space again. I don't know. But let's look at it. We definitely have a buy point on it, which is cool. It's a second stage buy point, 22.54 on that. It's right at 22 10.45. So it's just basically right at the buy point. Now, what is it going to do? Well, let's see. It's going into earnings, 20 days to earnings. So here's how I normally trade this stock, and I've traded it a few times, is I will buy it, and then I will hold it into earnings, and then the day before earnings, I usually will sell this thing. Why? Because it typically, just like they say, I mean, buy on rumor, sell on news. So when the earnings come, it might be not quite as good as you think, and it may pull back. So that's how I would trade this. Is this a cup and handle? Well, it's a cup, definitely. There's no question about it. There is one, but the buy point probably, and hasn't formed a buy point yet, will be about 27.55. So right now it's at 22.45. So it's below the buy point. It's time to wait on this one probably, unless you're just going to trade it into earnings. And the way you trade it into earnings, of course, is you buy it and then you hold it, and the day before earnings you sell it. So that's how I would do it. I definitely think this is a watch list worthy stock, because if they show anything, if they show anything, they're likely to have a very, very good run up, but of course it's going to be a run up prior to the prior to earnings. So that's why you don't want to hold this one through earnings. So let's see if we have another question on TikTok. So I'm going to pull okay. So let's see. Here we go. Bought Square at 90. Should I keep? I bought Square at 90. Should I keep or sell it? Okay. Well, let's take a look at Square SQ. Of course, this is the other Dorsey company. The other one, of course, is Twitter. He's both CEO of Twitter and of Square. And I think of the two, Square is better, just based on it's not probably as influential, but it's definitely better in terms of its potential for long-term profit. Relative strength is 98. That's looking good. You bought it at what? Did you say 30? Could that be right? Let me just make sure that I have that right. You bought it in the 90s. Should I sell or keep it? You know what? I think you might want to sell it. Wow, you have had terrific. I think you want to sell this. I think you want to sell this, especially because earnings are in 20 days. Now, here's the thing. Here's the strategy. You bought it in the 90s. That is terrific. Congratulations. That is killer. I think you want to potentially get ready to sell it, because what I would do, and this is typically the 20 to 25% rule, and basically if you have a stock and you're up 20 to 25%, at the minimum you want to consider possibly selling half your position and then riding on that profit that you've made. So here's what I would do on Square, because I do think it's a good long-term hold, but we don't know how it's going to work through earnings. So what I would do on this, because earnings are in 20 days, is I would look and I would possibly consider selling half of my position, because if you bought at 90 and the stock is currently selling at 186, well, then you have 100% profit approximately on your money. So sell, take back your capital, and then work with the bank's money. So that's how I would do it. That is terrific. Congratulations. That is an excellent thing. So, hey, everybody, it is possible to make that kind of a gain. It's remarkable. Why put your money in? I know that there's, it's a volatile market. It moves up, it moves down, it moves sideways. But you know what? The stock market still, for many people, at least for me, is one of the greatest wealth creation avenues that's available to just about anybody out there. So congratulations on that. That is really, really good. Okay, take a look at Shopify and see if we can get some buy points on Shop. Of course, this is the Canadian company, and it's just been super successful. Many of the biggest e-commerce sites are powered by Shopify. So it is a very good, very, very, very good stock. Okay, there is a cup formation on it currently, and it looks like it is pulled a little bit below the 10-day moving average, right on the 21-day exponential. Is there a buy point here? Well, actually, we are below a buy point. The buy point on Shopify is 1146.31. That's where the that's where the strict buy point is. We still have a relative strength of 96, so that's good. As long as we're in an upward trending market, I think this will do quite well. Let's look at the checklist on this. It's 8 out of 9 on the O'Neill checklist, which is excellent. Let's just check some other checklists to see see what Warren Buffett would do. Well, Warren Buffett wouldn't be as interested in this one as William O'Neill is. William O'Neill would be very interested in this one, and so am I, because I'm a CanSlim trader, and that is the O'Neill system. So I like this. This is a momentum stock and not a fundamental stock. So on that, we are a little bit below a buy point, but I probably would wait until this thing moved back up to the buy point. But it is buyable at this point. So I just want to put the buy point out there. It's 1146.91. So what I'm going to do is going to be the Shopify buy point, SHOP buy point, equals 1146, 1146.91. There we go. All right. So hopefully I'll put it out there to everybody on the chat. And by the way, if you're looking on TikTok, very easy to see the chat and everything. Just go over to www.youtube.com/DallasTrading4, and this whole thing is being recorded. So after, if you want to get these buy points and you didn't get it quickly enough, you can go just over to the YouTube site, and it's recorded. It's typically up about 30 minutes after the show is ended. So that's a good way to possibly go get back the buy points. I'm trying to take the chat off of both TikTok and off of YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and Twitch. So hopefully, with my new system, I can actually show you the actual chat from TikTok. So let's see if we could take the next TikTok question. All right. So goodbye. Okay. Good idea to buy SPAC. You know what? I don't think so necessarily with a SPAC. So let's see. Oh, hey, hello from England from you too. CCL. Okay, let's take a look at Netflix, because I think Netflix is a critical stock. So Netflix, Netflix and Zoom. Yeah, well, let's cover Netflix and Zoom for the TikTok, for the person on TikTok. So let's take a look at Netflix first. Oops, there we go. Let's take a look at Netflix first. Of course, that is NFLX is the symbol for Netflix. Okay, let's pull that chart, and we'll get that right way for you. Everything Netflix seems to be pulling back to the 21-day exponential. So let me see if I can give you kind of a read on that. Yeah, it's pulled below the 10-day. It's above the 21-day. Is it a buyable at this point? Well, it is. You can see this is a consolidation base. So it looks like there's a floor. It's halfway between. There is a floor at 575, and there is a ceiling. So basically, you have support at 575.37, and you have resistance at you have resistance at 575.37, and you have support at about at about 458. So here's what you can do based on the trend line here. This will probably trend up in the next few days when it reverses. So what I would do is I would wait for a reversal on this. It's currently pulling down. I suspect we're going to see a reversal on Monday or Tuesday on Netflix, and it should move higher up to its resistance at 575. So I would probably try to be a buyer at about the 21-day exponential, and let's see if I can put something on there too. So at the 21-day exponential, which is about 525, if it reverses off that line, you probably could be a buyer on that up to about 575. So there's about $50 a share in there in the near future. Let's take a look to make sure it's all healthy, It looks like it is. 55% funds own this, so we have a lot of fund ownership. It's got a 100% checklist. So this is an excellent stock. Even though the relative strength is only 86, I still think this is a tremendous stock. Where I would buy it? Would I buy it right at this level? Well, I would try to wait until it pulls back a little bit until it gets to the 21-day exponential, and I think that's going to be about $5.25. So we're about $6 a share above that. Let's see it pull back a little bit. If it reverses, you don't want to buy it now because it's pulling down, but if this stock reverses, which it may do on Monday or Tuesday, then I think that you might want to consider going into this. This looks like a pretty bullish chart, and it's an excellent stock. So that is my take on Netflix, on where Netflix is going to go. All right, so so hey Jim, how's space doing? Well, it's doing okay into earnings. The earnings are, of course, in 20 days. Let's see. Okay, so got space at 20, currently up 15%. Do you think it's a medium or long-term hold? Absolutely not. It's a trading stock. You could definitely do great on the trading stock. So in no way, I think you've made a tremendous buy. Here's what I would do. Here would be my strategy on space, SPCE, and of course that is Virgin Galactic. What I would do on this one is I would hold it into earnings, but I wouldn't hold it through earnings. Okay? So when is earnings? Well, earnings on this stock, let's see when earnings are. Let's see if I can tell you exactly. I should be able to tell you exactly when earnings are. So let's look at the O'Neill checklist. Okay, 5 out of 9. This is a little bit light. I don't like to see these. I like to see 6 out of 9. But remember, this is not a stock for a long term. This is not a long-term hold. This is a buy and trade stock. Only 14% fund ownership in this one. Industry and sector, it's a very unusual sector. But this is the kind of thing where, I would hold it only into earnings, and earnings are 20 days from today. So about almost 3 weeks. You want to basically sell it on Thursday or Wednesday, 3 weeks from basically before 3 weeks from today. So that's where I would do it. That's great that you're up. I think you might go up another 10% or so. But I would be very careful. I'd be very careful about holding this thing through earnings. It's just a little bit too volatile. All right, Kirkland. This is a great stock. This is a building. This is kind of like a junior Home Depot, and it's symbol KIRK. And they have been doing very, very, very well. So that's good. That's a very, very good suggestion that you brought up here. We have a 99 strength. That is excellent. It's pulling up. There's basically a 1358 buy. Now it's true. This is. Let's look at the weekly chart to see if it has formed a buy point. No, it has not. But there is a consolidation base at 1342. So we're just slightly below that. This marching right up to 21 day. I like this. The fact that we're going into the end of the year, it's just come through earnings. I like that. There has been a lot of buying on this. It's looking pretty good. I think you could definitely hold this into the end of the year. It's got very good. Its checklist is 7 out of 9. That's great. I typically like to see at least 6 out of 9. This is 7 out of 9, so that is definitely cleared that hurdle. It's 31% owned by funds. I like that. There is a little bit of fund fall off here. This is not that widely held. It's not like a Home Depot or something like that, but it trades kind of like Home Depot. And the industry rank is stellar. It's number 2 out of 197. So I definitely think this is a buyable stock right now. I think this is a buyable stock right now. But here's the thing. If you do buy it, you want to set that stop loss, because this could pull back. It's below the buy point. So it's below the buy point, but it looks very good. And, the buy point on this one, basically, and just so you'll have it, is 1342. So I'm going to just put that in there on the chat. Kirk, KIRK, buy point equals 13. Okay. 1342. There we go. All right, so put that out to everybody, and hopefully you'll be able to see that on the chat. And by the way, if you are on TikTok and you're looking at this, you can jump right over to the chat, which is on YouTube at youtube.com/Dallas Trading Floor. So let's see if we can take another one. All right, so what do you think about Fastly? Will it ever go back up? I lost money. Ouch. Well, this is, this happens from time to time. I definitely lost money on Fastly, even though I had hedged it. So, this is just not everything you get, unfortunately, is a winner. But let's take a look. It's pulled back down. Okay. Yeah, back down to 84. So here's what's happened. And let's do a postmortem on that. It's still got a relative strength of 98, but there's been a lot of selling, obviously. Let's look at the daily chart. It'll kind of tell the tale. Yes, it's fallen below. It's fallen, and I can't get up. Unfortunately, it has. It's fallen before that the 50-day moving average. It could fall as low as the 200-day. That would be about 52 or 53. Let's see what happens. You don't want to be in this thing right now. It's just not the right place. It pulled up very, very strongly, and then, unfortunately, they had some bad news. They missed their number literally by just very, very little, by less than 10%, and the thing basically took a swan dive into the 50-day moving average. So it's just one of those things. Now, what do you do in this situation? Well, of course, hindsight's 20/20. But the thing you do is that when you have a stock like this and it pulls up like this, adjust your stop loss up as it's moving up. So anything that's moved up, like 20% in 2 or 3 days, man, it's probably going to correct. And sure enough, this one did. So I'm sorry to hear that from you. And I definitely lost some money on it too, even though I hedged and I did have stop losses and I was sold out. But the thing about it is that this just happens, and this is part of the reason that you have the stop losses. It's just, and even the stop losses could be very frustrating because, that next day when that stop, especially if it happens after hours, which it did with Fastly, it moved up about to 124 in the normal trading day, and then boom, the thing came out, and the aftermarket was like, dive, and it was just diving, and of course, and even if you had a stop loss on it like I did, it took that first price right after it opened up, and of course that's lower than it ended up trading. So if you have one of these things where it does, and this is all over time, this is sort of doing the postmortem. If you do have something where you have this failure in after hours, probably a good idea to take the stop loss off, sit on the computer, and then wait for about 30 minutes after the open, and then sell it after about 30 minutes, because typically the first prices out of the chute are going to be lower than it's actually going to move to, because it typically will dead cat bounce. That's what they call a dead cat bounce. And so that you could probably unload it 30 minutes after it opens up. So I apologize. I'm sorry about that. Sorry that you ended up having it. But, today, every day is a new day. So, we'll just make some more money on something else. How do you figure out about a point on a chart? Well, how do you find a buy point? What do you do? Well, back in the old days, which was basically about 10 months ago, I actually looked at numbers of charts, and then I actually printed them out on my little HP laser printer, and I got my colored pencils, and I looked to see the chart patterns with, the cup with handle, the cup, the 3-week tight, the double bottom, and those things. Well, guess what? Miracle of miracles, I now have computer software that has pattern recognition. So I can recognize a lot of these things. Now, is it always right 100% of the time? No. But it shows me where to look, which has saved me a ton of time. So what I do is I look at the pattern recognition to see if there's a base pattern, and then I look at that base pattern to see if it meets the criteria. Now, not all the flagged patterns are correct, but that's how I have been doing it for the last 6 months. Before then, I just did it manually, and I still do it manually on a lot of things because sometimes it doesn't quite meet the right criteria. It isn't, for instance, wide enough or enough weeks, but that's what you do. Now, if you want to learn more about the wonderful world of charting and technical analysis, it's super easy to do. all you have to do is go over to my website, which is Dallas Trading Floor, and then there's a thing called the Learn to Trade bookshelf. And on the Learn to Trade bookshelf, there are 2 books I really recommend reading because, believe it or not, this is like having an MBA, but it doesn't cost you thousands of dollars. If you read these 2 books, I can almost guarantee you, I can't guarantee anything, but I can almost guarantee you that you will know more than about 85 or 90% of all the stock traders out there, even some professionals, which is actually frightening when you think about how many people give their money over to people that really don't know about this. So this is the CanSlim trading method, and the way you learn it is by going to my website and buying How to Make Money in Stocks, A Winning System, Good Times or Bad. This is by William O'Neill. He basically invented the system. And then there's a companion book to it, which is kind of like the Cliff Notes. And that's How to Make Money in Stocks, Getting Started. And it has checklists. So this is very helpful too. So these 2 books together, if you get these and you start reading this, you kind of understand sort of what my lingo is. It's kind of confusing, because I talk about buy points and base patterns and all this other stuff. But basically, it's all in that book on trading, How to Make Money in Stocks, A Winning System, Good Times or Bad. So that's how it is done. So it is available at my website, Dallas Trading Floor. Just so I will put that up on the screen so that you can see it. If you want to go and see the YouTube, it's youtube.com/Dallas Trading Floor, or the website, and you can buy it right off the website, Dallas Trading Floor. So let's take another question from, see if I can take another question from TikTok. So what are we looking on in TikTok? Zoom. Okay. So everybody, people are interested in looking at Zoom. Oh, can you name the book, please? Again, absolutely. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. The name of the book is How to Make Money in Stocks, A Winning System, Good Times or Bad, by William O'Neill. If you want to see it, super easy to do that. All you have to do is go to the website, www.dallastradingfloor, all one word.com, and then go to the Learn to Trade bookshelf, and that has the 2 books. The orange cover one is the one you want to look at first, and then the blue cover one too. It's best to buy them both because they kind of are 2 parts of the same thing. Let's look at DraftKings. That's a question from everybody. And let's take a look at DraftKings. Let me see if I can give you a good look at DraftKings. DKNS, and the is that right? Did I get that right? Yeah, DKNS. Is that right? DraftKings? Is that no? DRK. DRK. Yes, Why did I forget the symbol for DraftKings? Let me get that real quick for you. I should know this off the top of my head, but I don't. I don't know why I don't. DraftKings, DKNG. Thanks for bearing with me. Let's go and get that. DKNG, DraftKings. And let's look at the chart for DraftKings. There we go. We're up with the chart on DraftKings. And it is taking a dive. It looks like it may hopefully. Now, here's the thing. There's a tremendous opportunity on DraftKings, but but here's the thing. It's pulled below the 50-day moving average. If this reverses, and it doesn't look like it's going to, because I have 3. If on Monday or Tuesday this thing reverses, then it's probably a very, very good buy, okay? Right now, the pivot on DraftKings is 44.79, okay? It's below the pivot, but it has moved down to that. So if it bounces off this 50-day line, that's the red line here that you're seeing. If it bounces off of that, it reverses and bounces off that, and then as it bounces off that, buying it on the uptick, that is a very good buy. So now let's take a look. That's the technical way to buy it, but let's look at the checklist. It has 6 out of the 9, so it does meet my criteria for 6 out of the 9 on the William O'Neill checklist. On the ownership on the funds, we do have increasing ownership. This is very, very bullish. And Fidelity Contrafund is in there. That is like the good CFP seal of approval. So, do I like this stock? Absolutely. Would I buy it at this level? No. I would wait for a bounce off the 50-day moving average. And you say, well, where is that going to be? I don't know if it's going to bounce, but if it does, right now it's at 44.34. If it starts to move higher, then you want to get it on that as it makes that turn. When do I expect that to happen? Well, if the market holds in this uptrend that we're in, I think that should be by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So that's my take on DraftKings. And I think you can do very well by being in DraftKings. So let's take the next. Take the next one. Okay, so here we go. What do you think? What do you think will grow faster? Tesla or Cloudflare? Well, you know what? I think probably in the short term, I think it may be Cloudflare because it is moving from a smaller base. That's not to say that Tesla is not a great company. I mean, any company that moves up from like 50 to like, I don't know what, in a year is just phenomenal. But Cloudflare is in an excellent space. And, it has some potential. It's much more speculative right now, if that could be said, than Tesla. It also has earnings in very, very, very short period of time, about 20 days. So I have to be a little bit careful on that. It seems to be holding right about the 58 to 60 level. So that is good. Let's see if it will continue to hold at that level. The checklist is still strong on it. Good ownership on the funds. I like this one. I like this one a lot. Unfortunately it's pulled far above its second stage base pattern, which is a cup pattern at 45.28. So it is a little bit like that. It did have a breakout and basically just a few days ago. So let's look at the weekly chart on Cloudflare. This is just a tremendous chart. I mean, it's just a tremendous chart. We've had just a lot of people going into this. So at least from what I can see, it's probably it may pull back a little bit. It could pull below 50, but I still think that there's an upward trend on this. So, I would protect myself with stop losses, but going forward, I think that Cloudflare is good. It's just in a different stage of its movement, and than Tesla is. I still really, really like Tesla. I'm a Tesla bull. I'll have to be honest with you about that. I'm very much a Tesla bull, and I did increase once I did increase my position. My average price on Tesla currently is at about the 424 level. So. I do think it may pull up. There's a buy point on Tesla at 502. I don't know if it will get to that buy point, before earnings, but I think it definitely probably will after. So at least that's what I'm saying. If the earnings are good, and there's just a lot of variables. So on that. Okay, so take the next question. That's the same question we had. Sorry. Thoughts on Tesla potentially gapping up to 550 pre or post earnings that week? I would doubt it. I don't think Tesla is gonna gap up, just because what causes the stock. There's several things that cause the stock to gap up. One of the main things that causes the stock to gap up is a short squeeze. That's where people have shorted it and they have to cover. Well, right now, there is a short squeeze, but it's not like it nearly was. I want to show you this. And so not a lot of people are shorting this because a lot of people got burned shorting Tesla. People have underestimated Tesla for a long time. And shorting Tesla, by the way, is a good way to go broke, in my opinion. Right now, the short interest is only 0.8 days, or basically 1%. So this is not being, everybody's going long on Tesla. So I don't think that we're going to have a a blow off top like we did, because typically that is an unwind of a short squeeze. Now, is it going to continue to go up? Yes, but I don't think it's going to continue to rocket up like it has been before. Part of the reason Tesla moved so quickly, so fast, was because there were so many people shorting it that when it held on to those key levels, they had to cover their shorts, and that caused it to move up very, very high, very fast. I don't think that's going to be the case in the future. I think it's going to start to act more like a real stock, a regular stock, and kind of move up the 21-day exponential or the 10-day moving average. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen, at least on that. So I don't think it's necessarily... Now, do I think it's going to be above 502? I think it is. I think it is, but it just depends on how the earnings... But will it gap up? I don't think it's going to, based on the short interest that I'm seeing. But it's still a strong... It's a strong... it's a very, very strong hold. You never talk about your long holdings, which company you are investing in and not trading. Well, I will tell you, I am primarily right now investing in Tesla. That's what I'm doing. That is my main long holding at this point, is Tesla. And thank you for that question. I do trade, of course, because I am limited on capital, but I take my earnings and I kind of keep buying Tesla, and that's been a good strategy for me. So right now I have long holdings in Tesla, and most everything else I'm trading. So thank you for that question. And by the way, I will show you kind of the contents of the small portfolio so you can take a look at that. And we do have in that small portfolio that you can definitely get access to it. This is my current holdings in my small portfolio right here, and as you can see, we have Taiwan Semi, Tesla, Qualcomm, Cloudflare, that's NET, Digital Turbine, and we just added Viva Systems today. I have 2 full cash positions that I'm probably going to move into. Now, even though I really like Viva Systems, I'm down a little bit on it today, not too bad, but and I'm down on Digital Turbine. So those are the last 2 that I have added. So maybe I may be a little bit early in these. I don't know. I think everything else fairly solid, and hopefully, if it continues to move up, I probably will move a little bit more into Tesla than I'm in currently, because I do think that before the end of the year, I think we're going to see some good numbers on them. So, and I think it will continue to move up. All right. So, question: thoughts on Fastly regarding the news about the recent ETF shares being bought? I don't have enough information on that right now, and currently I am totally sold out of Fastly. And the reason I'm sold out, of course, is because my stop losses were triggered on that, and that's sort of the way it the way it went. So let's see if we can take another question from TikTok right now. Jim, what are your thoughts on the Fastly dip? Well, what goes up must come down. I'm sorry to say on that, on that. But let's see if I can give you something like that. Picked up Digital Turbine at 525. Should I sell it? Wow, that is fantastic. Here's what I would do if I had Digital Turbine at that level. That's terrific. You ought to really congratulate yourself, because that's a really good find. I mean, I typically don't buy a lot of stocks that are under $10, because usually that is a path to starvation. But you definitely did a great job by doing that. So it's now at 38. Here's what I would do, and this is just me. I would immediately sell half of my position, take it in cash, and then once you have that, then think about possibly holding it a little bit longer. But I would definitely start to take profits. Here's the general rule: if you have something that's moved up 20 to 25%, it's a very good idea to take profits at that point. Now, I'm not saying sell everything, but it's a good idea to take maybe half of your position off the table. Also, what you can do, and this is a very conservative way to trade it, if you're up that much since 525, take a look to see what your original basis is on that, the original amount of capital that you put out to buy those Digital Turbine shares, and then basically sell everything else and then retain the same amount of capital that you've had, maybe with like a 10% increase in that. So that's another way to do it. I would consider selling part of the position and taking that in cash because, cash is spendable and shares are basically just inventory. So that would be what my thoughts on it. And congratulations, that's excellent thing to do. All right, so can you do a technical breakdown of ticker UAVS? Let's take a look at UAVS to see what we have technically. UAVS, okay, and that is, interesting. Okay, develops technical small aerial. Okay, this is interesting. So this is for crops. This is a very big area, by the way, of development, and I don't know if I don't know this company, and it seems like it's a smaller company, but it has a 99 relative strength. This is excellent. It's only selling for $2.38. Typically, I don't look at stocks in this price range because it's very, very inexpensive. And here's the thing, folks: the lower the price on the stock, the more volatile it is. So, it's for a stock under $10, it's nothing for it to move $1 up or $1 down a day, and that's 10%. So that's one of the reasons why it typically is a little bit harder to trade. It's got a first day consolidation base at a pivot at 70 cents. It's currently selling for a little bit more than that at 238. There actually are, believe it or not, some funds in this. This is incredible. Stock fund. Okay, I wouldn't buy this one, but I would definitely watch this. And really, it's because of several items. It's just, it doesn't look like it's a bad stock. It's just that right now it's just too low priced. It's really almost a penny stock, and penny stocks are harder over a long period of time. You can make a lot of money in penny stocks, but they're harder to trade. So that's my thought on it, on the technical analysis on it. It's a very interesting stock. And I want to look at the daily chart to see if there's any places that you could possibly go into it. I just don't see it. I'm going to show you the chart, and this is a very, this is a typical penny stock chart in that you have these blow-offs and then you have these pullbacks that are tremendous. So we have a downward trending chart right now. I just wouldn't be in it. Let's see if it can pull above the $4 mark. If it can, then I think you want to be in this. So I would watch this. Let's see if it can trade above $4 a share. Then I think you might want to consider possibly getting into it. But right now you can't because of the way these charts are. If you notice, the 21-day exponential, which is the green line, is below the 50-day moving average, and that is considered not a good sign. Now, if the 50-day was below the 200-day, that would be the death cross, and we wouldn't even want it at all. But right now, it's not. It's got to show strength. It's got to move up to about $4, and there is, I believe, and I haven't done the analysis on this, but I do believe that there's probably a buy point at about $4. That's going to be where your buy point is. It's probably going to be right about here. Yeah, I don't think it's that high. I think your buy point is about 386 on that. So I want to see it go above that and hold on high volume, and then I would be interested in it. But right now it's a watch list. Interesting stock, but not a buy at this level because it can move right back down to the 70-cent price range. So you got to be careful on that one. You got to be a little bit careful on that. Thank you for telling me about. Oh, hey, thank you. Thank you very much. And hopefully I'm going to give some more information about stop losses because it's not just now. Just to cover stop losses. When you first buy a stock, you always should set a stop loss, typically at 8% less than you paid for it, or possibly 7% if it's a higher price stock. Now, as the stock moves, especially if it's like a rocket ship, like Cloudflare, you want to move that stop loss up as it's moving up, so that if it does pull back and reverses, you're going to be sold out at a good price. So, but stop losses are very, very important, especially on volatile stocks. And there's lots of volatile stocks out there. Many of the best and most profitable stocks are very volatile. So you got to be careful with the stop loss. And the stop loss allows you basically, without the stop loss, you're basically having to be on the be on the screen all the time looking to see if it's moving the right way. So let's take a last question from TikTok. Do you have a retail Do you have any retail stock recommendations? Excuse me. Do you have any retail stock recommendations? Well, I am not really a retail expert. Most of my speculation is in the tech stocks. In terms of retail stocks, I have to be very conservative with you here, but the best retail stock that I know of right now, and it's kind of, I know you're going to say, well, that's obvious. Well, but it is the strongest one, and that's Walmart. Simple WMT. I do like Walmart. I tell you, they are the retail kings, and I just think that it's not a rocket ship, but I trust these guys, and they are very, very, very good. Look at this. Fidelity Country Fund's in it. That's a good housekeeping seal of approval. It has a strong checklist, 7 out of 9. It is also the biggest retailer in the world. Now, in the throwdown on retail, JCPenney's may go out of business, Macy's may go out of business, but I don't think Walmart's going to go out of business. So this is the stock I like in the retail space. Well, I have come and I have talked a whole hour here, and I'm really, unfortunately, I could do 2 or 3 more hours, but I'm running out of time. So this is going to be my last one here, and it's Zoom, and ZM is just, I don't know. It's sort of like, it's becoming like Kleenex. I mean, it seems it's the generic name for video conferencing these days. So it is really unbelievable, and it just keeps. It's the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, now my brother called me last night. He said, "Oh, I'm in Zoom," and of course I'm not in Zoom, kicking myself. Yeah, I mean, I think the only real way you can buy this is at the 21-day line. It's pulled above that. Let's see if it pulls back to the 21-day line. Let's see if it pulls, and I don't think it's going to pull back that much, but let's see if it pulls back to maybe 525, and then you might want to buy it. So the Country Fund's in it. It's got a 100% checklist. I think it's continuing to go up. So, I mean, what can I say? Now, way that you could probably limit some of your risk. Now, you have to have a fair amount of capital on this one, is to buy 100 shares of it and then sell a call option. That's probably the only way to really do that. But it's a terrific stock, and it's probably not going to pull back a whole lot more. And it's a buy. It's probably going to be $1,000 stock. I mean, at least on what I'm seeing, it doesn't show any sign of weakness. But you can't predict the future. But anyways, well, thank you very much for everybody. Thanks for bearing with me. Now, one thing I would like to say is that we have the action trade alerts. Super easy to get the action trade alerts. All you have to do is go over to www.Dallas Trading Floor, and on the homepage, which looks like this, you can subscribe to free trade alerts, first and last name, email, hit that subscribe button, and that will put you on the action trade alerts list. Now, that's different than the YouTube. If you're watching me on YouTube, please subscribe and like me too on that. So I appreciate that as well. So until tomorrow, I'm sorry, till Monday, because tomorrow, of course, is a weekend. Till Monday, I will see you, and happy trading, and we will be back on Monday at 2:30 Central. Happy